Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Nandana Braja Jana Nandana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Nandana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Baladevayi Subhadra. Srinath Ji Jaya Bala Gopal Jaya Srinath Ji Jaya Giri Govardhan. Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Jai Hari Nam Sankirtana ki Jai, Shiva Prabhupada ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Paramami Hari Priye Mancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namo Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Leshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So today we'll continue part 2 of our discussion on the appearance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we'll read today from Adi Lila of Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 4, and we'll read a few verses. So we'll chant the invocation of reading Chaitanya Charitamrita. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So we offer our pranams to Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami for presenting us this wonderful Chaitanya Charitamrita so that we may understand the nature and the reasons for the appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, he says in the first verse of this chapter, by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even a foolish child can fully describe the real nature of Lord Krishna, the enjoyer of the pastimes of Raja, according to the vision of the revealed scriptures. This chapter is entitled The Confidential Reasons for the Appearance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now normally we don't see confidential things written in a book. That sort of makes it not confidential. As Krishna gave the most confidential knowledge in Bhagavad Gita. Like that, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is saying this is the confidential reasons. At the end of this chapter, he actually writes that I should not be speaking this publicly, he says. For it is not suitable for the public. But he said if I don't write it, then nobody will know why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the confidential reasons he came, why he appeared. So he says, okay, no problem. I'll write it. But only those who are devotees of the Lord and aspiring devotees of the Lord have any hope to actually understand it. So any mundane philosopher who tries to read this, it won't understand it anyways. So then there is no harm in presenting this. So we're very, very fortunate that we have some scope by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada to explore these confidential reasons for the appearance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we'll just read the 15th and 16th verse. The verse, I'll just read the Bengali and translate. Prema rasa nirasya karite ashradana ragamara bhakti loke karite pracharana rasika shekara Krishna parama karuna edui hete haite ichara udgama. There are two verses, 15 and 16. The translation is, The Lord's desire to appear was born from two reasons. The Lord wanted to taste the sweet essence of the mellows of the love of God, and he wanted to propagate devotional service in the world on the platform of spontaneous attraction. Thus, he is known as supremely jubilant and as the most merciful of all. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. During the period of Lord Krishna's appearance, the killing of asuras or non-believers such as Kamsa and Jarasandha was done by Vishnu, who was within the person of Sri Krishna. Such apparent killing by Lord Sri Krishna took place as a matter of course and was an incidental activity for him. But the real purpose of Lord Krishna's appearance was to stage a dramatic performance of his transcendental pastimes at Vrajabhumi, thus exhibiting the highest limit of transcendental mellow in the exchange of reciprocal love between the living entity and the Supreme Lord. These reciprocal exchanges of mellow are called Raga Bhakti, or devotional service to the Lord in transcendental rapture. Lord Sri Krishna wants to make known to all the conditioned souls that he is more attracted by Raga Bhakti than Vidhi Bhakti, or devotional service under scheduled regulations. It is said in the Vedas, Raso Vayasya. The absolute truth is a reservoir of all kinds of reciprocal exchanges of loving sentiments. He is causelessly merciful, and he wants to bestow upon us the privilege of Raga Bhakti. Thus he appeared by his own eternal energy. He was not forced to appear by any extraneous force. So last week we discussed the external reasons why he came. And as Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is summarizing here, that he came to propagate devotional service in the mood of spontaneous attraction. So this mood of spontaneous attraction is a very sweet mood of devotional service. But it is not so easy to attain on our own. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so merciful, so loving, that he wanted to give this highest mood of bhakti. Right now we don't have so much spontaneity. To chant our rounds, we have to have this thing called a counter. So we count 1, 2, 3, and when 16, I'll see you tomorrow. That is the mood of our japa. Because we don't have spontaneous attraction. There's not an internal impetus. The attraction for chanting our japa is, some understanding that it is important and instrumental for my path of perfection of bhakti. By following the rules of Shastra under the instruction of Guru, I may perform various practices of bhakti. But that mood is not yet spontaneous. And so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to show how to practice bhakti in a way that can bring out this spontaneous mood. This mood that when one is eager to wake up in the morning, rise early, and chant and sing for the Lord, to read about his pastimes, and that heart pulls one into devotional service. And this bhakti is very rare. It is very of highest class. Krishna says that the devotion, the bhakti, that is not containing with this awe and reverence is most pleasing to me. This bhakti of pure love. That is the highest of all bhakti. And it is the most pleasing to me, Krishna is saying. And he says, that is the bhakti I care to give. I want to give it to everyone. And this bhakti follows in the mood of the residents of Vrindavan. That's why we say this raga bhakti. Right? In the transcendental mellows, the devotees of Vrajabhumi, they possess this very intimate love for Krishna. They forget that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And they see him as their child. They see him as their friend and they wrestle. They see him as lover. They see him as servant. They see him in these very intimate moods. And that type of devotion is what is most pleasing to Krishna. And that is very rarely found. In all the spiritual realm, there are innumerable Vaikuntha planets. And in all of these Vaikuntha planets, there are different forms of Narayan in which the Lord is worshipped with such beauty and splendor. And within that type of worship, there is this mood of awe and reverence. And within the whole spiritual world, there is a center. And that center of the spiritual world, which is compared to like a lotus flower, contains Goloka Vrindavan. That is the eternal abode of Sri Krishna himself. Now, entry into the whole spiritual world in and of itself is an extraordinary task and accomplishment. Now, entry into Goloka Vrindavan is beyond comprehension. How one can reach such destination, where this intimate mood of pure spontaneous love exists with deep attachment. That opportunity is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give us. He came to teach us how to reach that. In Krishna Lila, when he came in Krishna, he showed all of his different activities in Sri Vrindavan Dham. He showed all of the activities. It's described in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, described in Krishna book that Srila Prabhupada presented to us. But Krishna was lamenting that he described and told how to get that highest love of Krishna by Sarva Dharmam Parityaja Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja Ham Tam Sarva Papebhyo Moksha Ishmami Sama Suchaha. He said, by just surrendering to me, one can access this. But Krishna was lamenting that I did not teach how to actually do it step by step. So for that purpose, he came as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to teach us how to practice bhakti in a way that can grant us access to this most intimate, intense, loving service of Krishna. That is what he came to give. But not only is he giving this extraordinary gift of the rarest of rarest position within all of the spiritual realm, he's giving it to everyone. He said he flooded the land with Krishna Prema. When the floodwaters come, the waters don't stop until they find the lowest point. They'll pass all the elevated points and they will search. The floodwaters will go to the lowest point. That is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. That is why Krishna Das Kaviraj says, supremely jubilant and the most merciful of all. Because he is not looking to see what one's qualification may be. He's saying to everyone, anyone is eligible to access this spontaneous love of Krishna. And what is our eligibility? What is the process, he said? No intense austerity, no intense yajna, no intense requirement for study of Shastra, no intelligence needed, no wealth, nothing. Just Nama Sankirtan. By chanting of the holy names, that alone is sufficient to take one to this most wonderful place of Goloka Vrindavan, in this mood of spontaneous love for Krishna. So he gave this wonderful access with the simplest of processes. And he said, it should go to every town and village. Not every spiritual town and village. Not every town and village of India. He said of every town and village of the world. So this was the great magnanimity of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this we understand to be the external reasons why he came. To teach all of us how to practice bhakti. And that is the most important thing for us to understand. That is the most important. But we also, when something says something confidential exists, we want to know, what is so confidential? I want to know a secret. So let us discuss now the confidential reasons for the Lord's appearance. Because when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared, he appeared in Navadvip Dham, just some 500 plus years ago. And when he appeared, everyone came with him. Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Mai, they came as Jagannath Mishra and Sachi Mata. Lord Balaram himself came as Lord Nityananda. Hanumanji came as Murari Gupta. Narada Muni came as Srivas Thakur. All the great associates, even King Vrishabhanu came as Pundarik Vidyanidhi. All the eternal associates of Vraja Leela came again to participate in this Gaura Leela. And they descended in and around Navadvip Dham. And within Navadvip Dham, you'll find none different from Vrindavan. You'll find Govardhan, Radhakund, Shamakund. You'll find all the holy places, all within Navadvip Dham. And so, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu brought all of his associates with him when he descended. Some before him and some after him. Now, why he came, we can say in some ways the internal reasons or the confidential reasons he came. This we know only by the great mercy of Swarup Damodar. Swarup Damodar was one of the principal associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, particularly in Jagannath Puri. And in the last 18 or so years of his presence here, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went into a very seclusive state where he was relishing this mood of bhakti, in this mood of separation, intense ecstasy he was experiencing. And he kept with him only a very few intimate associates. And one of those associates was Swarup Damodar. And in his diary, he wrote these 3 reasons why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared, the confidential reasons. And those reasons were explained to Raghunath Das Goswami. And Raghunath Das Goswami explained them to Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. And Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has now broken the secret wide open and is revealing it to all of us. So let's explore these 3 reasons why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came. Why Krishna came. Again, externally he came because he wanted to bestow this Krishna prema, an intense love to all of us. But internally, he was also feeling, not remorseful, but missing something. He was anxious to experience something he could never experience before. So these 3 reasons brought him to come in the mood of Srimati Radharani. So actually, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna in the mood of Srimati Radharani. And thus he has this golden complexion. Not the darkish complexion we know Krishna to have. But because he's coming in the mood of his topmost devotee, he carries this complexion. So the first thing that Krishna is thinking, he's thinking that, I am the supreme controller. Lord Brahma said, Ishvara Parama Krishna. He is the supreme controller. How supreme is Krishna's control? That not even a blade of grass can move in the wind without the sanction of Krishna. His control is so powerful that everything is moving exactly according to his whim. Even the neutrons and electrons within a small atomic particle is moving to exactly his control. He is lying on Ananta Shesh as Mahavishnu. And just lying, emanating from the pores of his body, are entire universes that are full of everything needed. All the things we see around us. Just lying on Ananta Shesh. He can create by his will, his mind, this powerful personality. Great yogis and mystics and brahmanas, They practice intense meditation for thousands and thousands of years just to get a glimpse of his lotus feet. Lord Brahma, the supreme creator, the empowered creator, when he desires to see, he has to stand on the banks of the milk ocean at Shwetadvip and call Kshirodakshaya Vishnu to see. Then he can see. This is the control and power of Krishna. Yet Krishna is perplexed by one thing. That Radharani's love for him is so strong that he becomes subdued by her love. Her position is so strong, so powerful, that he becomes completely subdued by her love. Actually, Rupa Goswami explains in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu that pure love of God, Krishna Prema, it is so powerful, so strong, that when one achieves Krishna Prema, one has the ability to control Krishna, the supreme controller himself. And he's controlled by the love. When Krishna experiences the love of his pure devotee, he loses everything. This is the position of Sri. And Krishna is confused. How someone can have such a wonderful mood of love that even I myself become weakened by that, subdued by that. Once, Vrinda Devi had seen Krishna, and she came to Srimati Radharani, and Radharani noticed her joyful mood. Said, "Where have you come from?" And she said, "I have seen the feet of Hari." "Oh, where was he?" "He was at Radha Kund." "Oh, Krishna's at Radha Kund. What was he doing?" "Oh, he was dancing. He was dancing." "Who was his teacher?" "His teacher? It was you, Radharani." "Huh? I am here?" "No. Krishna was seeing the reflection of you in all of the trees and creepers and different living entities. And he was moving here and here, captured by your love. He was just moving like a madman, dancing to the vision of you. This is the power of your love. That Krishna was just dancing left and right at the reflection of you, Radharani, at your own Radha Kund." Once, when Krishna was playing his game of hide and seek, he would go sometimes hide. And some of the gopis had gone, and they saw a form of Narayan standing in the forest. So they saw Narayan, they offered their obeisance, they were looking for Krishna, have you seen him? Narayan says, "I don't know." And they carried on. After the first group came, then Srimati Radharani is coming towards Lord Narayan. Now Srimati Radharani is walking, and Lord Narayan is none other than Krishna. Cannot control himself. The hairs on his body are standing on end. It says his long curly hair stood straight up, knocked off his crown, fell on the ground, and he began to shiver and shake just at the presence of Srimati Radharani. This is the intensity of her love for Krishna. And Krishna is bewildered, thinking how someone can have such incredible love. Radharani's love for Krishna is so strong, so intense, that anything she sees that reminds her of Krishna, she loses consciousness. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami explains later in this chapter, when the two bamboo trees are rubbing against each other, it makes a sound of a flute. And from that sound, Radharani just runs to the sound of the two bamboo trees rubbing each other, thinking, oh, it is Krishna playing on his flute. When she sees the tamal tree that is blackish in color, she goes and embraces the tree, thinking, it's Krishna. Her mind is fully absorbed in thoughts of Krishna. Everything she sees, she's always thinking of Krishna. And this intensity of love is so powerful it subdues even Krishna. So Krishna wants to relish the supreme position of his devotee. And so that is the first reason he appears in this mood of a devotee, to experience the greatness of his most dear devotee, Srimati Radharani. The second reason that Krishna comes is that his devotees are so consumed in serving him. We already discussed how intensely Srimati Radharani is serving Krishna. So he is wondering, what is so sweet about me that makes my devotee give up everything and give themselves fully to me? What is so sweet? He is wondering, what is this taste that the devotee is relishing that is so intense that once the devotee tastes the sweetness, it puts them into a state of spontaneous love. He wants to taste this. And so how sweet is Krishna? Krishna himself, Rupa Goswami explains in his Lalita Madhava, that once Krishna was in Dwarka and he was moving through the palace and there was a jeweled fountain and the jewel was shining very brightly. And when Krishna passed this jeweled fountain, he caught a glimpse, a reflection of his shadow. And he thought, who is this most beautiful person? He was stunned by the beauty. And it took him a few moments to realize it was him himself. And he thought, wow. So even Krishna himself is stunned by his own beauty. His beauty is limitless, so sweet. When Krishna plays his flute, Krishna has 4 qualities that no one else possesses. Even Lord Vishnu possesses up to 60 qualities. But there are 4 additional qualities possessed by Krishna. And one of them is his Venu Madhurya, his flute. When Krishna plays his flute, it is such a transcendental sound that when it enters one's ears, they are lost. In Vrindavan, when Krishna plays his flute, the calves who are drinking milk, when they hear the flute, they just stop, stunned. Milk is dripping down them. They can't move. They're overwhelmed in ecstasy. The birds, they're flying in air, and as soon as they hear the flute, they just stop. Mid-air. They're stone-like. There is one tune Krishna plays with his flute that even the river Yamuna begins to current backwards. She is overwhelmed in ecstasy by this sweetness of Krishna's flute. The stones in the pathways, when they hear Krishna's flute, they begin to shiver and vibrate and turn and toss and turn. So the animate things, the birds and the cows and the bees, they become stone-like. And the stones in Vrindavan, when they hear the flute of Krishna, they become animate. This is the sweetness of Krishna's flute. His second quality is his Rupa Madhurya, his beauty. When we all know of this Govardhan Leela, Krishna's holding Govardhan. 7 days he is holding. Now, we're thinking, he had to hold Govardhan, right? To protect the residents of Vrindavan from the devastating rainfalls. Now, did he really need to hold Govardhan to protect? He could have just brought Ananta Shesh with one of his millions of hoods covered and everything would have been fine. He could have just went and the Samartaka cloud would have went flying away. He could have just willed it away. He didn't have to do anything. So why he held this Giriraj for 7 days? Because the devotees of Vrindavan, they had one lamentation. That during the days of playing with Krishna, or the days of mothering him, or the evenings of being with him, their interactions were always being interrupted. When Mother Yashoda is dressing Krishna and getting him ready, the children are banging on the windows. Come on, Krishna, let's go, let's go, let's go. It's time to go to the forest. And Mother Yashoda is looking at Krishna and says, okay, let's take this outfit on, and puts a new one on and dresses him up. And then she takes that because she doesn't want to let go of the darshan of her beautiful Lord. But the cowherd boys are very persistent. And like this, there's a competition for Krishna. So they all wished, why we cannot have Krishna to ourselves 24 hours a day. So to fulfill this desire, that is why he lifted Giriraj. So all the residents of Vrindavan had gathered under Giriraj, and they were just watching Krishna. Now, for 7 days, can we watch anything? One movie, cricket match, one painting, anything before we'd be... Does it stop raining? I'm hungry, I have to sleep. For 7 days and 7 nights, the residents of Vrindavan were constantly drinking the nectarian beauty of Krishna. And each moment they were seeing him, he was more beautiful than the prior moment. His beauty was ever increasing. This is the sweetness of Krishna. Once we acquire a thirst for the sweetness of Krishna, that thirst is actually never quenched. Though Krishna's sweetness and beauty is ever increasing, our thirst for it is ever stronger. It's never quenched. And like this, for 7 whole days, the devotees of Vrindavan were drinking the beauty of Krishna and still could not even touch the surface of his Rupa Madhurya, his beauty. This is how sweet Krishna is. So the pure devotees of the Lord, the gopis, they have one extraordinary lamentation. They say this Creator is not so intelligent because he only gave us 2 eyes. We need millions of eyes to be able to see Krishna. 2 are not sufficient. These 2 eyes, no, we need millions of eyes. Why this Creator did not think ahead? They are lamenting this way. Then they further criticize the Creator. Say, we don't consider him so intelligent. They don't use so nice words. They say he gave us these silly eyelids. And these eyelids, we have to blink. Why we have to blink? They're interrupting my absorption of the sweetness of Krishna. Absorbing Krishna's sweetness, a blink to them feels like hundreds of years. We don't even notice when we blink. But the beauty of Krishna is so intense, so sweet, that even the eyelids blinking become a great, great source of pain and lamentation. So, like this, Krishna was thinking, I want to experience this sweetness that my devotees are experiencing. The sweetness that inspires them to render completely selfless service, unending service. So first reason, to experience the great position of Srimati Radharani, who has the potency and power through her love to subdue even Krishna. 2, to taste, to relish this sweetness. Now this is very peculiar, right? How Krishna, who is the source of everything, Aham sarvasya prabhavo mata sarvam pravartate. He said, I am the source of everything. Everything. So he is also the source of this rasa. He is the source of the sweetness. He is the sweetness. How he cannot experience it? It's beyond understanding. One who is all-knowing, all-powerful. How is there something beyond his grasp that is not within the grasp of our feeble minds? But that gives us some indication of the power of pure devotional service. So the third reason Krishna desires to come is that he has one thing he cannot experience, and that is the happiness of his devotees. The happiness that his pure devotee experiences is superior to his own. Now, how can the source of everything not experience, how can someone have something beyond what the source of everything has? It's not possible. But it is transcendentally possible. That the happiness that Krishna's devotees experience in pure love is so intense, so strong, that it is even higher than the happiness of Krishna. Sometimes when Krishna says, that you give up everything, you give me the fruits of your labor, you abandon all varieties of religion, surrender unto me, you think of me, we think, I have to give everything to Krishna? That's nice of him to say. What do I get? But see that the pure devotees, what they get is something even far beyond what even Krishna himself has. And that is his supreme transcendental happiness. And so Krishna says, I want to experience this happiness. Because you know what happens? When he comes and sees Srimati Radharani, because of the purity of her love, he becomes happy. And when he becomes happy, his sweetness grows. But when Radharani sees Krishna's happiness and sweetness, she becomes 10 million times, it's explained. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, 10 million times more happy than Krishna. So when Krishna sees his devotee becoming happy, he becomes more happy. But as soon as Srimati Radharani's devotee sees Krishna happy, she becomes, and like this, there is this transcendental competition. But Krishna can never catch up to the happiness of his pure devotees. He says, Ye tamam prapadyante tam sataiva bhajamyaham. He says, to my devotee, I reciprocate according to their mood of worship. He says, I reciprocate. But now he says, I have to break my promise. Because to my pure devotees, I have no means to reciprocate with them. I, who am the source of everything, the almighty, all-powerful, supreme personality of Godhead, I have no means to adequately reciprocate with my devotees. So I just give myself to them. That is the power of bhakti, the power of pure love of God. So the devotees experience this transcendental happiness when there's purity of love. What is purity of love? Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami explains in this chapter the difference between lust and love. Lust is when one endeavors intensely for one's own sense gratification. But what is love? When one endeavors intensely for the pleasure of Krishna's senses. There is no self-motive. Pure devotional service, anyabilashita shunyam. Shunyam, no material motives. Not even jnana and karma. Not even knowledge or any fruit of activity. None. The only desire of Krishna's pure devotee is to see Krishna happy. They don't even care for their own happiness. Don't even care for their own self-preservation. And to illustrate the purity of love that can bring about this great happiness, Krishna once sent Narada Muni on a mission. He told Narada Muni, I have a headache. Narada said, how can we solve the headache? I'll call a doctor. He said, no doctor can help. The only thing that can help is the dust from the lotus feet of my devotee. Go ask, who will give me the dust of their feet? So Narada Muni goes to who he thought was the greatest devotees. He went to some great brahmanas and said, Krishna is having a headache. The brahmanas were concerned. What can we do? We can chant some mantras. We can do some yajna. What can we do? So Krishna said, none of that will help. He needs the dust of your lotus feet to solve his headache. We cannot give the dust of our feet. That is Krishna. We'll go to hell. Our head belongs at his feet. We cannot give the dust of our feet to his head. And Narada Muni was defeated. And like this, he went to great people. But nobody would give, all fearing the consequences of the sin from putting their feet on the head of Krishna. So he goes back to Krishna and says, Krishna, I have searched everywhere. Nobody will give. He says, okay. You go to my damsels of Vraja. You go to Vrindavan and ask the cowherd girls. They'll not give. They're not foolish. They're so smart. Just ask. So he goes and asks, how is Krishna? He has a headache. They're heart-struck. What happened? I don't know. But the only thing that will cure him is the dust of the lotus feet. And before he could finish his sentence, they began giving piles and piles, buckets of dust. Narada Muni says, you foolish ladies, are you not worried about the consequence of giving the dust of your feet to Krishna? The sinful reactions you'll incur. Don't you know? And they said, we know. But if Krishna's headache, his discomfort will be eased, we are willing to even suffer eternal life in burning hell if Krishna will find some relief from his headache. That is purity of love. Not even a tinge of self-interest. And when one has this purity of love, one experiences a transcendental happiness that is so high that even Krishna himself cannot experience it unless he comes as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for the third reason to experience it. It's so intense. It's the irony of all ironies, because the pure devotee, they have no desire for the happiness. They don't want freedom from birth, death, old age, disease, adhyatmik, adibhautik, adidevi. They don't care. Their only concern is what will please Krishna. They're not worried about their own preservation. And when one worships Krishna in this mood, happiness is almost forced upon them. The less you search out for your own happiness, and the more you work to please Krishna, the more happy you become. But the more you try to preserve and protect yourself through your own means, the less you'll experience. This is the purity of love. This is the power of bhakti. Even when Srimati Radharani, she's experiencing ecstatic symptoms. We crave for the day when I'll chant the holy names of the Lord and tears will be flowing from my eyes. When I'll be experiencing this ecstasy. Right now I'm just experiencing, I want the ecstasy. When will it come? But with the pure devotees, when these ecstatic symptoms come, they try to suppress them. They become disgruntled because it interrupts their ability to serve. My hand is shaking and I cannot render service to Krishna. My eyes are tearing and my makeup is running, and now Krishna has to look at something not so beautiful. When they dress themselves, they're not dressing themselves to look in the mirror and admire their beauty. They're dressing themselves so that Krishna has something sweet to look at. That is the mood of pure devotion. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna comes as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to experience this. So for these three reasons, he comes. Something beyond his own understanding is the power of pure bhakti. To appreciate and experience the position of Srimati Radharani. To taste the sweetness for which his devotees never tire of drinking. And to experience this happiness that is 10 million times greater than his own happiness. For those reasons, he comes as this golden avatar in this mood of Srimati Radharani to experience the mellows of spontaneous love of bhakti. So he comes to teach bhakti to all of us, and he comes to experience it himself. This is the fascinating pastime of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He comes to teach and experience it. And by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because he is Patita Pavana, he is the deliverer of the most fallen, we have some hope to achieve this greatest position, which is pure devotional service in Krishna Prema, in the mood of spontaneous love, following in the footsteps of the Rajagopi devotees. And it is a great fortune. It is a great and rare gift that we have been come to. So we'll be celebrating this most wonderful appearance day of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu next Wednesday. He appeared on the Purnima day in the month of Magh. And there are many, many wonderful pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Maybe I'll just narrate a summary of his pastimes, nothing in detail. But you see in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's early childhood, he was known as Naughty Nimai. And very kind of, naughty pastimes, just like Krishna did in Vrindavan. He would go and steal butter from the neighbors and steal milk from the cows. He would go do all kinds of funny pastimes. One time he made a big mess in the house, in the kitchen, was throwing flour and oil and everything everywhere, and breaking the pots. And then Vishwarup, his elder brother, said, "Mother Sachi's coming, Mother Sachi's coming." And Nimai jumps into the middle of this mess. Oh, he starts crying. "Oh, Mother Sachi." Mother Sachi comes and says, "Oh, what happened to my Nimai? Some demon must have come and made this mess." And then like this, Nimai would create all kinds of funny games. One time, I can't help myself, I'll narrate a few pastimes, please. One time, Jagannath Mishra asked little Nimai to go bring him a book. And so he went to the other room, and as he's coming back to bring a book, Sachimata and Jagannath Mishra are hearing ankle bells. Our son is not wearing ankle bells. Where these ankle bells are coming from? Very sweet sound of these ankle bells. They cannot understand. And I said, okay. And they take the book. And then they go into the next room, and they see the most beautiful sight. All on the floor where Nimai had come to grab the book, they see the footprints marked with the thunderbolt and gold and all the markings of Krishna's lotus feet. And they are stunned to see all these footprints all over. And so Jagannath Mishra tells Sachimata, "You make some fried rice and ghee. And I'm going to prepare this panchagavya. This is what we use in the worship of the deities. I want to do abhishek to my Shaligram." And Sachimata asked, "Why? Okay, nice, but what special occasion?" He says, "Don't you see? Shaligram is walked all over our floor." He was thinking, "Oh, but who is walking on his floor?" His little Nimai. Like this, he did many, many pastimes. In his youthful age, he became known as Nimai Pandit. He was a great scholar of Sanskrit. So naughty Nimai kind of matured to some degree into Nimai Pandit. And he would go to the banks of the Ganga, and there he would teach Sanskrit to his friends. He was an expert scholar, and he used to play many games. When there would be all the yogis and brahmanas, they would go to the Ganga and do meditation. So while they were in meditation, he would jump into the Ganga and kick his feet. He would be splashing them all with water. But we can see what transcendental splashing that is. Getting the mercy, the argya from the lotus feet of Krishna. What more blessing? Actually, it's explained that he would also, with our mundane consciousness, we cannot understand this pastime, but we'll try to understand it from the devotional mood. Is to those who were doing this great worship, he would spit on them. And we think that is not so kind. But actually, this Adara Amrita, this is the nectar of Krishna's. When we honor Prasadam, what is it that we are enjoying? It is actually the nectar of Krishna's lips. It is his saliva that has entered the foodstuffs that makes it so relishable. Everything from Krishna is Amrita, nectar. So actually through this, he was actually showering all these great Vaishnavas with his Amrita, his nectar. But when we try to observe from external circumstances, we think something incorrect. He's like this, he'd do many pastimes. Once when he was there, one great Pandit had come, this Keshav Kashmiri. He was a very erudite scholar, and he went all around India debating different scholars. And that's what scholars do. They debate each other, they fight, and whoever wins claims victory. And so like this, he'd gone all around India, and he had defeated all the scholars of India. And he had finally reached Navadvip. By the time he reached Navadvip, his reputation had come. And so all the Pandits in Navadvip ran away. As soon as they closed their doors, they hid. They did not want to be defeated by him. So Keshav Kashmiri was finding nobody to debate with. And so he's coming to the banks of the Ganga, and he sees this very illustrious boy sitting in a group of some friends. And Nimai was 14 years old or so at this time. He was 14 years old. And he was teaching Sanskrit. And Keshav Kashmiri comes and says, "What are you doing?" Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains, "I am, teaching Sanskrit." He said, "I am the great Keshav Kashmiri. I'm here to debate. Nobody is going to debate me." I'm not debate. I'm just a child. And he says, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, you show me your prowess. And Keshav Kashmiri says, I'd like to debate you. Nimai Pandit says, "I'm not there." And Nimai Pandit says, "Okay, you recite some verses. You recite some verses about the Mother Ganga." So instantly, Keshav Kashmiri began to recite verses. He had created these verses. From mind, immediately began speaking exactly in the meter in which the Ganga was flowing. 100 verses he spoke. And Nimai Pandit just sat there. At the end, Keshav Kashmiri said, "Were you impressed? What do you think?" He says, "Yeah, but you made mistakes. 7 mistakes you made." Keshav Kashmiri, what? He assumed Nimai Pandit didn't understand even one verse. And he says, "No, in the 64th verse, you made a mistake. You said Bhavani. Bhavani refers to the husband of Lord Shiva's wife. That is circular. That is a grammatical error." And like this, he pointed out all the different mistakes he had made. Keshav Kashmiri was dumbfounded. He immediately left from that place, defeated by Nimai Pandit. Keshav Kashmiri goes home that night and became very angry because he was given a benediction by Goddess Saraswati, that she would sit on his tongue and speak for him. So how you could have been defeated? How you neglected me? She said, "I was there. But I was defeated. You were defeated by my own master, the Supreme Personality of Godhead." So like that, Nimai Pandit became known as a great scholar. But his main mission again was to propagate the chanting of the holy names. And after 20 years of doing various pastimes, he then called his eternal associate, Lord Nityananda, to come to Navadvip. And from there, they began their Sankirtana movement and began spreading the chanting of the holy names as this most essential means for conquering all of the evils of the heart. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to destroy the demons, not with any weapons, not with any fists, but with the power of the holy names. And so from age 20, really until the end of his pastimes, he performed Harinam Sankirtan, spreading the glories. 6 years, at age 24, he took sannyas, left Navadvip, ultimately ended up in Jagannath Puri by the desire of Sachimata. And then for 6 years, he traveled all around India, flooding Krishna Prema everywhere, distributing this message of just chant, just chant, just chant. He was converting the Mayavadis, he was converting the Jnanis, the Karmaka, he was converting everybody into this path of pure bhakti. 6 years he traveled everywhere. And then for the last 18 years of his presence, 48 years in total, the last 18 years, he stayed in Jagannath Puri in almost semi-seclusion with his very intimate devotees. And there he was relishing this intense mood of bhakti, specifically in this mood of separation, this vipralambha seva. In the mood of Srimati Radharani, missing Krishna, he was experiencing various ecstatic pastimes. And many of those pastimes were documented by Swarup Damodar. And by that great fortune, we can read them in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So we can pray to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that we can have some intelligence to understand the greatness of his mercy and bring the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu into our hearts and make progress on the path of devotional service. And that pray that someday we can be also spontaneous in our love for chanting the holy names of the Lord. But until then, we'll chant because we know it's the best thing to do, even if we're not yet so spontaneous. So with that, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai, Shri Gaur Purnima Mahotsav ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Any questions, comments, discussion? Okay, then we'll chant the holy names of the Lord.